With all the new documented YouTube evidence that I've created on John Locke YouTube Music, my concern is that the Library of Congress that has the documented evidence of all the documented filming they've been doing on me, I feel that they may be using that as certified police record information would be used. Like, he's a documented criminal, he's documented dangerous, he's documented as reckless. And then they have all this stuff on video. And it's documented on an official Library of Congress site. And that may be why it's lasting so long and so hard to stop. And they're all requiring me not to think, but never serving me paperwork. Because there's someone claiming that at the Library of Congress, posting all this on him, so it's official. Well, no. You still have to use police records. You still have to use hospitals and doctors that have actually seen me, not just looked at a video that was taken, because every video should be dismissed because they were inhabiting my body illegally in a way that would never be allowed as Mike. And furthermore, a good example would be let's say the Pentagon blows up and it's gone, totally taken out, and all the Pentagons are. So they have to look at the emergency reaction plans, procedures, which is what they had for me when I died. And when I died, I should have been resurrected and my family should have reloaded me, but they were instructed to by the United States government not to reload me. And that is why I don't know how things work. I should know how things work right away. Instead, I had to fidget around with my cell phone and this and that and test stuff out, and then figure out, oh, it's the dials on this. I should already know that. That's how Mike was. But I'm not like that. So they didn't do something on my resurrection plan because they were ordered to by the government. And why? Because at that time, the government said I was reckless and dangerous. And that was their reason. So now I'm sure they're saying, no, we can't do it because he's still reckless and dangerous. Look, we had documented proof. It's documented, but it's not accredited. Because all the evidence is dismissed, because you're going to find out that every single time these guys were in me, occupying my mind space or my brain space and my eye and my hands, and they had fake hands in me, and they were creating paranoia and pandemonium and chaos inside of me, and all the screaming and everything. Even though it was in the public road, I had no choice. I had already filed police reports and people were screaming inside my face. I had no choice. I didn't know what to do. It should be dismissed because my mental state wasn't bad on my part. It was hijacked, making it bad because I had to stay on top of it and continue to beat this thing on me that was ripping my arms apart and pushing my muscles in the wrong direction and causing me to drop things. So this should be taken into consideration, please. So basically what happened to me was, because I was the smartest man in the world, they just made a car wreck and they said I wasn't civil. And because I was in a car wreck and it was not civil, we're going to be allowed to take his brain away from him, because that brain is responsible for all of Star Wars. We're going to take it and we're going to let this guy run it, but we're not going to tell anyone that that's what we're doing, and we're going to lie to his family. And then we're going to build all these companies because he's not civil and we are now, because we're using his head for him illegally, but we're not going to tell all the women how these companies work. And we're always just going to have him near us, and eventually we'll just put him in a hangar. And that must be their only plan. Their plan, I would like to know publicly what they committed to with their plan by just using my head forever, and opposed to whatever resurrection plan was in place between me and my family that supported me when I died, and they put me in ice and kept me alive still. I know I had a plan because I was worth billions and gazillions of dollars. I know it. And I would like to know how their plan outweighs my plan to just put a new headset in me and make a new Waterford crystal headset and get me reloaded again, get me back in business and get me running again. I would like to know what their plan is and how has it changed throughout the years. Because what I'm in right now, I have no civil rights, and I do not understand how they're executing their plan with as many civil rights infractions they do against me. And because I was in an accident that was claimed to be not civil, they're allowed to take away the use of my head from me. And now I only have 60 to 50% of my human functioning head allowed, because the federal government claims that they should be running my head for me because I did a guaranteed of service contract with the president to do Star Wars. And so because of that, now I'm going to have to live in a hangar so that the person that is allowed to use my head and lying to all the women and building companies, not telling these companies that they're using my head, they're allowed to do all this, but they never divulge that they're using my head to do it. That's not very civil of them, wouldn't you think? That's still committing fraud. The most elegant, nice, friendly, civil way to put this is he's simply using my head and claiming that he's more civil than I am. The wreck, the accident I had, I was not a civil person when I was involved in that car accident. And because of that, he's going to be allowed to use my head for the rest of my life. And so you cannot say that you're better than I am or you're more civil than I am. That is not the American way. And I believe that this vote that the women have, they're having them vote on who is more civil. John, here he is screaming, and we're not going to tell you why he's screaming and tearing his car apart. Or this guy, he's a gentleman and he was a general. But not really. He's actually using 40% and 50% of John's body, but we're not telling you. That's the reason why John's screaming right now. So you cannot say we're going to hold a vote for the women to choose who they're going to see, and that they're only going to be allowed to vote for the most civil person, and that he's more civil than I am. You need to hold them to the American Constitution, the standards of America. They need to be upheld. The United States Supreme Court needs to be upheld. We need to have a judge and a court lawyer with jury. You can't just say, I'm more civil than he was. Look at the accident he was in 50 years ago. Didn't seem to hurt me that bad. I still have a forehead. Did they mention that I was framed in that accident? And if you investigated it now with today's technology, you would find that I was not at fault. They should mention that I was not at fault with this accident where I was not civil, and undo everything. And I seem to be just fine. I would love to see a replay of the accident. John Bloor. They cannot use my head this way anymore to guarantee services to a federal government that has changed 100%. Been 50 years. It's been 1980. It's been 40 years. Very long time. And so the fact is that the voting pool that they have, that they throw me in with, and that I keep failing on, seems to be unconstitutional. And this guy cannot claim that he's more civil than I am. And that because he's more civil, he's going to be allowed to use John's brain and head and eyeballs, which is going to mean he's allowed to drive microchips that bite and hurt John daily through his head. You cannot do that, United States. Thank you. So in conclusion, John Lennon said, "The more I see, the less I know for sure." And John Locke says, "I can't know." This is a reenactment. Some of the drama might be dramatized a little. This is a reenactment of someone who may have got a girlfriend through these guys. Well, I've been told that I get to be with a Hollywood actress. What's the catch? I just have to not think. Well, how are you going to do that? You're never going to figure anything out. Well, here's what a conversation I had. Hey, you can be with a Hollywood actress. Here's the deal, you just don't think. Well, sir, if I can't think, how am I going to get a Hollywood actress? Don't worry about that. I have full access to John Locke. So, what does that mean? That means we already know everything we ever need to know, and we just look it up through him, so we never have to think. If you have any problems, use your little eye tool that we gave you and send us a question. Okay, so I'll do that when I'm not with her? Yes, sir. So when I'm with her, I'll just press my mute button down, my mute button that you gave me down the whole time, and she won't hear me if I keep thinking on accident? That's right, just stare at her nice private parts the whole time. Well, okay, sir. And don't tell anyone unless they're with the special forces. Okay, sir. It's mum's the word. Thank you. That was a reenactment of how powerful they could be once they took all my patents from me and decided that's all the planet is ever going to need. We're fine with what he did up to 1981. But now, his fate will be in a hangar with us. Brain dead.